Hi, this is a video about method reference types. There are 4 types: bound, unbound, constructor, and static. We'll take a look at each of those now. Here is the bound method reference. So I've got a string name and I'm setting it to Sean. And then I'm going to define a supplier. Now I've got the interface defined here. It defines a get functional method. It's a functional interface. And the return type is T, whatever that is. In this case, I'm defining it to be a string. So that will be a get that returns a string. Over here, you'll see the lambda version. And in here then is the method reference. So if I look at it from the lambda perspective, you're taking in nothing, as it is over here, and we're returning a string. We're using the name in here. We're actually referring to a variable, so it's bound to that variable. And what we're getting is the lowercase of it. So to call it, all I just say is lower dot the name of the method that's in the supplier, which is get, and it comes up with Sean in lowercase letters. There's no need to say which instance to call it on because the supplier is bound to name. Unbound is the next one. Here we have a function, and there's the function interface. It is a functional interface, so it has only one abstract method where you apply T and you get back or. In this case, we're going to be a string in and a string out. There again is the lambda version where a string S comes in and we're converting it to uppercase, and that'll be returned. This is the method reference version. Note in the bound one, I was using the name of a variable. Here, it's the name of the class. And then I just use the name of the functional method from function, which is apply. I pass in the string. That string goes in there as S, and it converts it to uppercase. So you end up with Sean. That's what that's doing as well. But because Java can infer an awful lot from the context, that's what's going on there. The constructor method reference. So there's a few things we want to talk about here. First of all, we're using function again. So we're going to be using the apply. This time it's a list of a string that's coming back, and it's an integer that's coming in. So the input is the first argument and the return type is the second one. So this will be your integer coming in, and what we're returning back is a new array list with that integer passed in to the constructor, which in an array list is the size of the initial capacity. And in a method reference, that's how you specify it. That is the syntax for it. So Java can create that from that. It infers it. So when I apply 10, it takes 10 in and creates an array list with that size. I add in 21 and I output it. The static method references, they are considered unbound also. An example of a static method is collections.sort. So I declare a list of numbers. I'm going to use a consumer this time. And the consumer's functional method is accept, where it takes in T, which is whatever that is, that type, and the return type is void. It doesn't give you anything back. In this case, we're saying this is a consumer for a list of integer. So it's a list of integer that's going to be going into the accept method. The consumer takes one parameter. Okay, there it is, as opposed to a by consumer, which would take 2. A consumer takes in 1. And therefore, Java, when it goes to do the sort, it knows to call the sort which only takes in 1 argument, as opposed to the one that needs 2. So when you say collections : sort, then what you're saying is, well, there's going to be a list coming in here called the collections.sort with that list. And that's a static method, collections.sort. So there I go along, and there's the accept passing in the list of numbers and when you run it, it'll have it sorted. So if I run those, there you can see the lowercase shown coming from the bound method reference. The uppercase shown here is coming from the unbound, where we apply the 2 uppercase. Then we've got the 21, which is basically the constructor, where we created an array list of size 10. And then the static method references, that's used to sort an array list, and you can see it there in ascending order.